comment,
and subscribe for more content.
Where's the notification bell?
It's to the right of you.
Oh.
Ooh, what's up, guys? Welcome to this edition of a Funko Popcast. I am DK Wrestler.
And I am MD Shady.
And today we got ourselves a jam-packed podcast with a lot of pops that we have to cover, considering last week we had what was our All Funko Sodas podcast, the third one we've ever done. So anyone who had listened to that podcast last week, thank you for listening to that podcast. And now today we are catching up on March Pops, but also as shown in the title of this podcast, we will be talking about the top 10 Funko Pops throughout the month of March 2022, which all the pops range for today are from the 16th to the 26th. So we do have some days to catch up on, especially as we're recording this on March 30th. There's still the 31st also, which will be moved over to next week's podcast, where we will have, of course, like always, the update segment, along with most likely the first set of April 2022 pops to go along with that. But without further ado, since we do have a lot of pops to discuss about, we're going to talk about the first set of Funko Pops for this podcast, which range from March 16th up until March 21st. Which, first off, we have ourselves announced on the 16th. Walgreens had announced their own exclusive pop of Bishop from X-Men, which that is available now both in stores and online for Walgreens. On that same day, Hot Topic had announced their own exclusive pop of Kuromi, which that is also available now both online and in stores. On that same day, GameStop had announced 4 exclusive pops going to their stores, which the first one is a Cobra Fang Pop Rides from G.I. Joe, a Rikiri Kakashi glow-in-the-dark pop from Naruto Shippuden, and then we also have 10-inch variants of Goku and Flying Nimbus from Dragon Ball and Vegeta from Dragon Ball Z, which the majority of those should be available now both online and in stores. Some will be available at a later date. Then on March 17th, Toys R Us had announced their own exclusive pop of a Slytherin Geoffrey for the Ad Icons lineup, which that should be available at some point in April, both online and in stores at Toys R Us Canada. On that same day, Walmart had announced their own exclusive pops of the glow-in-the-dark KISS members, which, of course, we have ourselves the Spaceman, the Star Child, the Demon, and the Catman, which those are available now both in stores and online. And when you purchase them online, you can buy them either separately or as a 4-pop bundle. Then on March 18th, Funko had announced the next set of NFT pops, which are themed of Scooby-Doo, which the pops we have featured are Charlie the Robot, the Ghost of Redbeard, and Snow Ghost, which will be limited to 1,550 pieces. Then we have Superhero Scooby-Doo, which will be limited to 999 pieces. And then we have a Freddy Funko as Captain Cutler, which will be limited to 2,000 pieces, in which the cards were available yesterday as we are recording this podcast. But of course, they have sold out since. On that same day, Funko had confirmed on the Funko.com website of the next diecast pop, which will be of Boba Fett from Star Wars, which will have, for the very first time in the diecast lineup, a 1-in-6 chase, and it's a silver metallic variant, in which unknown yet as of this recording of when this will be released. But of course, it will be a Funko Shop exclusive. And on that same day, Funko HQ had announced their own exclusive pop of a flocked Bigfoot with Marshmallow, which that is available now at Funko HQ while supplies last. And then last but not least, for this section of pops, on March 21st, Funko had confirmed on the Funko app of Dabdoob for, of course, Dabdoob as a part of the Ad Icons lineup, which unknown of when this will be releasing, but it will be a Dabdoob exclusive. So kicking off, we got ourselves Bishop from X-Men, and this is a pretty decent pop. I know that this was released internationally like months ago, but of course, like always, we wait until there's some sort of proper glam shot posted by a reputable retailer. So of course, this being a Walgreens exclusive, we had to wait until Walgreens posted it essentially. And this is pretty decent. I think I'm going to say the same thing about this, like I said about I can't remember the character's name. I think it was Omega Red from the last time we talked about an X-Men pop, where these obscure characters that we don't really know about that aren't your regular, let's say, Gambit, Wolverine, Rogue, all those characters. It's really cool to see those kinds of characters that we don't really know of. Then we got ourselves Kuromi. This is okay. I don't know how well this is going to sell because I feel like a lot of times when Hot Topic has those kind of obscure characters and they're exclusive to them, they end up being shelf sitters and they get way too much stock in. Then we got a G.I. Joe Pop Rides, which I think this is pretty decent. I think G.I. Joe definitely should have Pop Rides because of the toys, of course, being part of the Retro Toys lineup. And this is pretty decent. And I think this thing will sell pretty decently, to be honest. Then we got the new Kakashi Pop, or it's not really new. They've already made this variant, except now it's glow in the dark and exclusive to GameStop. And I think this is okay. I mean, if you didn't have the original pop, then I guess you can get this one because the eye glows in the dark and the lightning energy in his hand also glows in the dark. So I think that's pretty cool. And Kakashi is a pretty decent character in Naruto. Then we got the 10-inch variants of Goku on Flying Nimbus and Vegeta, which these are okay. I mean, we've already gotten the 4-inch variants that I'm pretty sure obviously were commons, except now they are 10-inch variants, which seem to be GameStop's thing nowadays, where a lot of their exclusives are just 10-inch variants of already existing 4-inch characters. But I mean, I guess it's okay because of the fact that obviously when a pop gets turned to a 10-inch, you get to see more of the details you might not be able to see in a 4-inch pop. Then we have Slytherin Geoffrey, which this is a little bit surprising because I wasn't sure what Toys R Us was going to go down the route of this year as terms to their Geoffrey exclusive. We've been seeing the DC characters, and I like the detail actually of the nose of Geoffrey because it's giving the vibe of Voldemort's nose and how you can kind of barely see the nostrils because of how like he doesn't really have a nose all that much. So you can't really see it. And it has been confirmed by the Toys R Us website in silhouettes that there will be more Geoffreys wearing the different house attires for the Harry Potter characters. So there will be a Gryffindor, a Hufflepuff, and a Ravenclaw attired Geoffrey pop coming out later this year, I believe. So Harry Potter fans, I guess that's exciting news to you a little bit, I guess. Then we have the glow-in-the-dark Kiss Pops, which these are okay. I mean, there's already the normal Kiss Pops, and if you want glow-in-the-dark Pops, then you might as well just fork up the little bit of cash to get the Pop Deluxe albums that was released with the album Destroyer last year. So I don't know why they felt it was necessary to do singular glow-in-the-dark pops. I don't want them to go down the route of, let's say next year they make another specification like metallic. We should have gotten, let's say, like lick it up variants where they don't have any face paints on. Then we have the Scooby-Doo pops for the NFTs, and these are pretty decent. There was some hype involved with this, especially I think the most hyped pop of the set was the Ghost of Redbeard, I believe, which I kind of remember that character while watching Scooby-Doo, and these are some pretty decent pops. Superhero Scooby-Doo is okay. I mean, I'm glad that's the 999 pieces. And then the Captain Cutler Freddy Funko is also pretty decent. Then we got ourselves the die-cast Boba Fett, which I think this is a great idea. I think Boba Fett definitely makes sense to be in a die-cast form. This probably might be my favorite one besides Iron Man, in my opinion, that they've made for the die-cast lineup. My only gripe, I mean, it's not really so much of a gripe, but I mean, what was really the point of doing that silver metallic chase? Like, if I were to buy one, and if I ended up getting that 1 in 6 chase, I would actually be disappointed. If you want that silver effect, you can get it on essentially this die-cast pop of the common because of how scratched out and battle damaged the helmet is. And I think it looks fine with adding just that little bit of gray or silver, I should say, instead of just getting a whole pop silver, in my opinion. Then we got the flocked Bigfoot, which at first I thought they already came out with this pop, but I think all they added was the marshmallow this time because I think the original flock pop of Bigfoot was just him by himself and he didn't have any objects in his hands. But this time it is the marshmallow, which I can't remember where this was exclusive to originally as terms of the non-flocked version. But now we have a flocked version and this is pretty cool. I mean, if you're going to get either the original or you're going to get this one, then obviously get the flocked version over the original one with the marshmallow because it just makes sense to obviously have a flocked Bigfoot. And then we have ourselves Dabdoob, which I had no idea who Dabdoob is. a lot of times I don't know some of the obscure ad icons that Funko does, but I would go and ask MD, hey, do you know this? And I'm pretty sure he mentioned that he didn't know who Dabdoob was, which was a little bit surprising. But this is pretty decent. I like the overall design with his smile and the glasses there. Also, I think it's pretty cool. I don't know how much of a seller this will be, though.
All right, starting off with a brand new X-Men pop in Bishop. I think that this pop looks pretty sweet. I love when we get some of these obscure characters from X-Men, and honestly, recently I've been debating on collecting an X-Men set. I do collect a lot of Wolverine / Logan pops, so I kind of thought about expanding into more of X-Men pops, and if I did, this Bishop would definitely be one of these pops because it looks really cool and it's just a character that we don't see. Then we have the Chromie, and I agree with what DK said, how this will probably be one of those pops that sits around at stores because I feel like there's just not a big enough fan base. But that being said, it doesn't look bad. It's a pretty simplistic mold, and obviously there's only 3 colors that we're seeing here with the pink, the white, and the black. So I don't know. I think it's a cool looking pop, but at the same time, I don't think this is going to sell well. Then we have something that I think is going to sell amazingly, and that is the Cobra Fang from G.I. Joe. This is an amazing pop rides. I really like this. This is so cool. I can definitely see a lot of retro collectors, maybe who don't even collect Funko, wanting to get this because the Cobra Fang is awesome. And I think that in pop form, this turned out really good. I really like how it turned out. Then we have the GameStop exclusive glow-in-the-dark Kakashi, and this is pretty sweet. I really like this. I know who Kakashi is, though I'm not a huge fan of Naruto, or at least haven't watched. I'm sure I would be a fan if I did, but this pop looks sweet. I like the parts that glow in the dark. I think that the kind of energy lightning and the eye are perfect. You don't need to do more. Then we have the Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z 10-inch variants. We have Goku in the Flying Nimbus, and this is pretty cool. I like this pop in 10-inch form. I think it'd look really cool, though I believe I already own this pop in the regular size, and like I said, with these big boxes, I'm running out of space in my Funko room, so when I pick big pops like this, I definitely have to be super selective, and I don't think Goku would make that cut. And then we have the Vegeta, and it's basically the same thing. Then we have the Toys R Us exclusive Slytherin Geoffrey, and I think this is sick. I really enjoy this. I think it's a good idea. I'm glad that Toys R Us is still pumping out these exclusive Geoffreys. I think this is cool, and I'm glad that we will probably see the rest of the houses. I will definitely be picking these up. Then we have the Funko Shop exclusive glow-in-the-dark Kiss Pops, and I am so torn about these because, like DK said, if you want these glow-in-the-dark pops, I think you should get that Pop Albums Deluxe, which is so cool, which I still don't have. But I also think that as a Kiss collector, I kind of want to get these as separate pops as well. Then we have the newest set of NFT pops, and it is for Scooby-Doo. And these are pretty cool, actually. I really like these, but I would also really like them as just regular pops you could buy in the stores. And that is my problem with NFT pops. I think that the first set of the Turtles pops, I think they did a good job, though some of those pops were kind of shitty. I think they did a good job of having it be pops that like an NFT collector might want to get their hands on those pops and not just your regular collector, because it's not characters that like you can't get otherwise, I guess. Other than that, these are awesome. Charlie the Robot looks pretty sweet. Obviously, the Ghost of Redbeard is a really cool pop. The Snow Ghost, I think, looks really cool as well. And I actually seen someone on Instagram post that they bought one single standard pack and they pulled a Snow Ghost. So congratulations to them. That's really good luck. And that's a pretty cool pop. Superhero Scooby-Doo, and that's pretty cool. I like this pop for the fact that you don't necessarily need this pop in a Scooby-Doo collection, but putting it in the NFT sets kind of makes sense. And then you have my favorite pop from the set, which seems to be the reoccurring theme with these NFT packs, and that is the Freddy Funko as Captain Cutler. I think that it's really smart considering the value on Captain Cutler is one of the more expensive, maybe even the most expensive Scooby-Doo pop, and then they throw Freddy Funko that way. And I think that that's a good idea. You can't really make Freddy Funko into Scooby-Doo. You have like the seaweed across the face of Freddy Funko, which is so cool. And obviously that crown being the green color that Captain Cutler is. I think that this pop looks great. Definitely my favorite from the set. Next up, we have the die cast Boba Fett, and there is definitely pros and cons with this pop. The first pro Boba Fett's awesome. We just finished the Book of Boba Fett, obviously, last month or so. He's a hot character right now, so why not make him in diecast form? Because it makes sense to make him in diecast form. Obviously, he does wear all that armor that should be in a diecast rather than a vinyl plastic, in my opinion. And then some cons that I have, or I guess the biggest con, is that the chase version is kind of ridiculous. I think that the only way that this chase version would be good is if this was the chase version for every single diecast pop we've seen, because when it's being molded, this is kind of what it would look like. So I think that that's cool. It almost gives a prototype feel. But since we haven't even seen any chases for diecast pops, it's an opportunity that's kind of thrown out the window. And I think that if they go and let's say the next one they do, for example, is Darth Vader, and they have the chase being the silver version like this, I think that that's kind of a way to save themselves from making a not so great chase. But at the same time, I don't really know if people want to see that. So I just think this is a bad idea in general. If they were going to do a chase version, I'm sure they could have done something else rather than this, whether it be an unmasked version of Boba Fett or whatever else. I don't know, but this version is not great. But it's really cool to see a new licensor getting diecast pops, because honestly, with the DC characters and the Marvel characters, that's really cool. But let's see it expand into some other stuff, because personally, I really do love the diecast pops. Then we have the flocked Bigfoot with the marshmallow, which is exclusive to Funko headquarters. And this is definitely my favorite Bigfoot pop that we've seen. There's a lot of different versions, honestly, and I think it's a little bit of the best of all of the pops. You have the flocking, which is necessary for a Bigfoot pop, in my opinion. And then you have the marshmallow that has the little fire, which I think is really cool. I think that the only way this pop could have been better is if it was also specified as glow in the dark, where you have that little piece of flame be glow in the dark, but that's not even necessary. I think this is cool. And I think that Funko should maybe just be done with the Bigfoot pops now, because I think any other pop of Bigfoot that comes out after this, which we haven't really seen many of them recently, just won't be as good. So maybe it's time to call it quits on the Bigfoots. Then we have Dab Doob, and I definitely don't know this character, like DK had said, which is kind of surprising because I feel like I generally know a lot of the ad icons. There hasn't really been any ad icons that I can remember of that I didn't know. So yeah, I definitely didn't know about this character. I did Google it and seen that it is like a toy store, I guess, kind of like Geoffrey the giraffe, I guess, in that sense. But I don't know if it's actually a physical store or if it's just like an online retailer. But this is a decent looking pop. It's a new sticker. It's ad icons. It'll probably end up finding its way into my collection one day.
All right, so now we're moving on to the next section of Funko Pops, which range from March 22nd to March 26th. So kicking off March 22nd, Walmart had announced their own Earth Day 2022 exclusive pops, which kicking off, we have ourselves Fred Bear from the Care Bears, a flocked variant of Tafiti from Moana, Black Orchid from Justice League, and then a pop comic covers of Poison Ivy from Batman. Most of these should be available very soon in stores within the month. Then on March 23rd, Walgreens had announced their own exclusive pop of Magic from X-Men, which that is available now both in stores and online at Walgreens. Then on March 24th, Gabriel Iglesias had announced 2 exclusive pops in honor of his Dodger Stadium show, which we have ourselves Stadium Fluffy with white jersey and blue jersey, which those were available for pre-order this past Friday. But if you couldn't get them online, they will be available at the shows on May 6th and May 7th. On that same day, Walmart had announced their own exclusive pop of a Spider-Man pop comic covers, which that is available for pre-order now and is expected to release as early as July 2022. On that same day, Walmart also announced an exclusive pop of the next pop involved in the Guardianship Pop Deluxe, and it's of Mantis, which that is also expected to release as early as July 2022. Then we got ourselves announced by Funko themselves is a pop comic covers of Green Lantern, which that's expected to release as early as July 2022. And Walmart would announce a pop movie moments of Claire with Flair from Jurassic Park, which that's expected to release as early as August 2022. Then on March 25th, Walmart had announced more exclusive pops, which the first one being a Vito Corleone from The Godfather, which will be a VHS covers, in which that's expected to release as early as August 2022, along with a new pop of Willie Nelson with hat and a Jimi Hendrix Are You Experience pop albums, which will also release as early as August 2022. Then Funko had announced pops for, I believe it's called AMG Patronus Formula One team, which we have ourselves Valtteri Bottas and Lewis Hamilton, which those are expected to release as early as July 2022. Then Funko had announced on that same day a pop of Kahlua Zoldyck Godspeed version from Hunter x Hunter, which has a 1-in-6 glow-in-the-dark chase, in which this will be a AAA anime exclusive, and it's expected to release as early as June 2022. And then the last pop to discuss about on this podcast before our top 10 list, Joe Coy had announced his own exclusive pop of himself with a World Arena Tour attire, which this was available for pre-order on Joe Coy's website, either the pop by itself, the pop by itself autographed, or you can get the pop as a pop and tea bundle on the website. All right, so kicking off with the Earth Day 2022 exclusives, which will be at Walmart this year and not Box Lunch. First off with the Care Bear, which a lot of these I feel like I'm going to repeat from what I said on, I believe it was last Saturday's video discussing about the Walmart exclusives. The Friend Bear is pretty decent. I'm assuming they did Friend Bear because of the flowers on the torso there to kind of go along with the Earth Day theme. And it's pretty crazy to see that Care Bears is celebrating its 40th anniversary this year, as shown on the box. Then we got ourselves Flocked Tafiti from Moana, which this is pretty decent. I think this definitely makes sense as an Earth Day pop because of the fact that from what I remember from seeing Moana, that this character is like a grass-like figure. And I really like the box involved also because like all the Earth Day pops, you have that kind of cardboard effect as terms to the box. Then you have Black Orchid from Justice League, which this is pretty decent. Don't really know much about the character, but it's cool to see new characters for a lineup like Justice League. And the last pop for the Earth Day exclusive pops is a Poison Ivy pop comic covers. And in my opinion, I feel like this may be the best pop comic covers so far that Funko has done. And that is because of how they actually executed the cover and actually made it into a pop where you actually have Poison Ivy sitting on the vine there. And they actually added the vine. So it's more of a deluxe without charging you a, like, I guess, deluxe covers price per se. Great job on Funko for doing this because this is going to be a decent seller. Then we have Magic from X-Men, and this is okay. I don't think it's as detailed as the Bishop, in my opinion. Then we have the new Fluffy Pops, Gabriel Iglesias, which I remember supposedly someone posted online the actual stock because there wasn't a limit. And I guess altogether there was about 18,000 of these being sold. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, the blue one actually sold out before the white jersey one. And I mean, this is okay. It's pretty cool to see Gabriel Iglesias be, I think, the first ever comedian to perform in a stadium or just Dodger Stadium. I can't exactly remember the statistic there, but it's cool that he's doing that. And to celebrate, he's making some more Funko Pops, which I mean, it's good and bad. It's good because it's a cool way to celebrate doing a show in a stadium. It's not cool because it is like the freaking 5th and 6th Gabriel Iglesias pop for the comedians lineup. Then you have the Spider-Man pop comic covers, which I think this is pretty cool. But I mean, I do think that there is like a flaw involved with this. I do like this because obviously it's Spider-Man. And I think that Spider-Man is long overdue for having a comic covers. I felt like this should have been the first character for the Marvel lineup to have a comic covers. And I do like the effect in the comic covers of how it looks like the web that he's holding in his hand is actually attached to the building that is on the actual cover itself. But the thing that I don't like about this, and they could have easily done, is that he did like a tiny like pocket pop of the actual like character that Spider-Man is holding in his hand there in the cover. I felt like that's why I'm not really entirely the biggest fan, but at the same time, it's not the end of the world because of the fact that it's Spider-Man. There's probably going to be way more covers in the near future for Spider-Man than we have right here, and probably will be better than this one, in my opinion. Then we have the Mantis Pop Deluxe, and this is okay. I'm not entirely fond of this new Pop Deluxe set because when they announce them individually, they look weird, but they probably look pretty decent when they're all put together with how they create the ship. Then we have the Green Lantern Pop comic covers, and this is pretty decent. I mean, I don't think we get a lot of Green Lantern products to begin with by Funko, so it's cool that they get a pop comic covers, and it's also for, I believe, deceased and not just a regular Green Lantern. So it's a new version of Green Lantern where it looks like in the cover, at least, it is actually a girl Green Lantern and not your regular male Green Lantern. So it's pretty cool, and I think it will sell pretty well. Then we got Claire with Flair from Jurassic Park, and this is decent. I mean, from the view I'm looking at where it's out of box, it looks pretty cool, but I don't like it in box because of the fact that with that Walmart exclusive sticker where it's placed on the box, you won't be able to see the Flair in Claire's hand there. But I mean, the detail, obviously, of the dinosaur that is chasing her is pretty cool, and especially the background to go along with it if it is in box. But it looks like it's a pop that you should display out of box because of the Flair there. Then we have the VHS covers of The Godfather, which this is pretty decent. 50th anniversary of Godfather this year. And the one thing I don't like about this is why was this put in the VHS covers and not the movie posters category? Because now that ruins my theory of how it seems like the VHS covers was supposed to be all Disney related, where number one, we had the Beauty and the Beast that was Target Con exclusive. Number two, I believe, actually, now number two is this one as shown on the box. But then number three, we had the Lion King. And number five, we had ourselves the Toy Story one that I plan on getting. And I believe number four, if I'm not mistaken, which was announced technically by Funko, but we don't have an official glam shot, so we can't talk about it at the moment, is they actually announced on the Fun TV episode or Freddy's Funhouse, whatever the segment is they have on Thursdays, that they're doing a pop VHS covers of the Goofy movie. And they already showed that off, which looks pretty decent. So we can't wait to talk about that. The fact that they actually put a movie in the VHS covers, I just feel ruins the fact that there's even a category called VHS covers, because now I feel like all of them should just be called either VHS covers or just call them all movie posters. Then we have a new version of Willie Nelson, which this is okay. I mean, all they did, I'm pretty sure it's the exact same mold with the exact same outfit and guitar. The only thing they changed is that the original one had a red bandana and now this one has a black hat, which is like, I mean, if you're a Willie Nelson fan, cool, get it. But if you're like a casual fan or you're not really a big fan at all, you should get one or the other. I don't think it's necessary to get both. Then we got ourselves the RU Experience pop albums, which I'm glad that they finally made a pop albums for this album. I think it's a little bit long overdue, but at the same time, this pop album, though, should have been the very first pop album in black light form, because Jimi Hendrix is known for that. He was in the late 60s. That was a very psychedelic era of rock music. And especially when you look at the cover itself and you actually see how the photo is in the different shading color of blue there, that's how it should have been. The outfit should have been blue with the scarf there still being orange and even the skin and maybe highlights in his hair being blue. And it should have been in a black light box, even though, yes, they did do the two black light pops that were Funko Shop and Festival of Fun exclusives respectively. Realistically, they should have just scrapped those two black light pops, in my opinion, and just saved the black light effect for this RU Experience pop album. And I think it would have been much better. And I think it would actually sell better if it was a black light pop albums. Then we have the Formula One drivers, which I don't think I've ever seen Formula One driving a single day in my life, maybe once by flipping through a channel and seeing like 3 seconds of it, but that's about it. So I have no idea who these people are. And I mean, I'm assuming they just took molds from a NASCAR driver and then they just added the logos of Formula One. I have nothing to say about these. Then we have the pop from Hunter x Hunter, and this is pretty decent. I'm kind of curious to see what the glow looks like in person, because I feel like that kind of energy going around him might glow well, but I don't know how the eyes are because of the history of how blue is when it comes to glow in the dark. But overall, even not glow in the dark, I think the pop looks pretty decent and very detailed like most anime pops are. And last but not least, Joe Coy, the World Arena Tour variant. And this is okay. I mean, I can't remember what the other Joe Coy pop looked like, but this one looks pretty decent.
All right, starting off with the Earth Day exclusives, the friend bear. I think that this is really cool. We haven't really seen very many Care Bears things in the last couple years at least. And I really like the Earth Day sticker for Walmart. I think that's cool. It's cool to see a Walmart sticker that's not blue, I guess. Obviously, it's green for Earth Day. And then we have those recycled boxes. And I think that the Care Bears box looks really cool with the kind of brown recycled cardboard. Then we have Tefiti from Moana, and this is an amazing pop to do for Earth Day. And I believe we've seen this pop before, but now it's flocked, which is really cool. It makes a lot of sense to be flocked, considering she is like the earth, I guess you could say. She's like a mountain. So it's really cool to have the flocking of all the different things, the grass and the trees and such. So that's a really nice looking pop. Then we have the Black Orchid, and this is cool. I don't know about this character 100%, but I believe it's like a butterfly like superhero. So that makes sense for Earth Day too. And the box doesn't look too bad. And then lastly, for Earth Day, we have the Poison Ivy comic book covers, and this is amazing. I love this so much. This is so cool. I love how the box looks for a comic book cover with the cardboard recycled box. So cool. And the pop is amazing for this cover. I love how they did it. It's a flawless execution of a comic book cover, which we haven't really seen until this point. I will definitely be getting this. I really hope it hits up our local Walmart here in Canada. Then we have Magic from X-Men, and this is kind of similar to the Bishop that I talked about, how it's cool to see another X-Men character that is not one that we generally see, and it's a Walgreens exclusive, which is cool. I don't believe I have a Walgreens sticker in my collection, which is crazy, but maybe I will have to take a trip over to the States once I know for sure that this is hit up Walgreens, and maybe try to find it in the wild at a Walgreens. That'd be pretty cool for a video idea as well, I think. So this is definitely a pop I will definitely have to keep my eye on. Then we have the two new Gabriel Iglesias pops. These are okay. We've definitely seen a few different Gabriel Iglesias at this point. These ones are a little bit different. What I am surprised about is that the blue shirt sold out faster than the white shirt, because in my opinion, I think that the white shirt looks better. I think it just, there's a little bit more color. It pops out a little bit more, in my opinion. It's cool that it's signed, and it's cool for like the moment in history for Gabriel Iglesias, but the market is getting a little saturated with these Gabriel Iglesias pops. So I feel like if you got like the original Gabriel Iglesias pop, which I believe I have, it kind of just makes that one not seem as important anymore. And then we have the Amazing Fantasy cover, Spider-Man's first appearance. This is so cool. I love this so much. I think that this cover makes sense to be the first Spider-Man comic book cover. This looks great. I really enjoy this a lot, actually, but I do think that there are cons about it. That being, obviously, like DK said, where you could have had a pocket pop in the arms of Spider-Man like that, which is kind of the big issue that we have with a lot of these covers, is that they're kind of always doing something on the cover, and Funko has a hard time kind of displaying it that way. Besides that Poison Ivy that we just talked about, which is a flawless execution where she's laying on the branch. So that's one gripe. I do like how he is holding on to the webbing, but I think that he should have been maybe put on a base, maybe a little bit higher, or just posed a little bit differently to look more like he's actually swinging rather than kind of just standing there with the webbing in his hand. But this is so cool. I really enjoy it. I will 100% be picking up this comic book cover. Then we have Mantis for the Guardian ship, and I don't know about the set. I don't think this is going to sell very well, to be honest. I think that this is going to be one of those sets that kind of just sits around at Walmart for a while, because I've actually been kind of noticing that at our GameStop with the Bounty Hunter collection, is that those pops aren't really selling out too quick. They're kind of sitting around, and I think that those are way better than this set. Then we have another comic book cover of Green Lantern, and this is interesting because you do have that female Green Lantern, but I think that this was done very well as well. I think it's cool that it's pretty much a flawless execution, because you have the main focus of the cover right there perfectly in pop form as well. I think that maybe this could have been glow in the dark in some spots, and it would have made this just a little bit better, but overall, this is a really cool comic book cover as well. Then we have Claire with Flair, and I'm wondering if this is like a distant cousin of Weedle on the Needle, just because of the way that the name is on this box. It's kind of funny. Claire with flair. This pop's okay. DK summed it up pretty well when he said that out of box, when you're looking at it kind of in a frontwards position, it looks really good, but in the box, it actually looks very bad, which is not great. It looks like it should have been named something else. If they would have done a singular pop of Claire holding that flare, then they could have called it Claire with flair. But because it's more of a chase scene, I think that they could have named it something like that, like Claire and whatever dinosaur this is. I can't remember exactly, but I don't know about this pop. I don't know how well it's going to sell. Obviously, to Jurassic World and Jurassic Park fans, this is going to be a really cool pop to get and probably display out of box. But like I said, in that box, it just looks really, really bad in my opinion. Then we have a new VHS covers, and that is of The Godfather, which is so cool. I really enjoy this, and I actually think it's a good thing that we're seeing other movie like franchises besides Disney getting the VHS quote unquote treatment, because I feel like any movie that was released originally in VHS form should be part of this VHS set rather than just being the movie poster set. So this is really cool. I'm glad about this. And it definitely opens up a way for a lot of different really cool VHS movies to come out in this kind of form. And I'm a big collector of VHS tapes, so there's definitely a lot that I could list off that I'd want to see. So The Godfather, this is cool. I love how it's in black and white like this as the pop. I think that's amazing. This is really cool, and I could definitely see myself buying this. Then we have that Walmart exclusive Willie Nelson, and this really does just feel like it should have been a chase version for the original Willie Nelson pop that we've seen before. And then we have the pop albums Are You Experienced? This is really awesome, but I feel like DK summed this up perfectly. His idea for this was great. It probably could have been a blacklight pop that would have been amazing, and we wouldn't have had to see those other blacklight pops, though I do think those are pretty cool. I don't know, it just, the pop itself feels weird on this album, but I do think DK said it pretty well when he said that this is probably going to sell very good, but it just could have been better. And then we have the F1 racers, and this is an all right idea. Obviously, it's an easy pop to make because you have the NASCAR pops that can be easily just changed into F1 drivers. I think it's cool that Funko's expanding in different sports, I guess you could say. So that's cool. I don't know anything about either of these characters or athletes, I guess you could say. I think that they're probably two of the best if I had to guess, and they drive for Mercedes, I believe that logo is there. So this is cool. I don't mind this. I just think it's a great idea for Funko to open up and get more different sports and different things like these F1 racers done. So this is definitely pretty cool. Then we have another Hunter pop, and this is really cool, actually. I really like how the colors of this character work in pop form. I like the pale skin with the different shades of blue, I think looks really well. And with the chase version, I definitely think that the energy will glow pretty good. It's a weird color that we don't see glows of very much because you usually see like a darker blue or green, not usually seeing this teal color. So I think that this is going to look amazing in that chase version. And then lastly, we have Joe Coy for the World Arena Tour. This pop looks pretty good, I guess. It's not a terrible pop at all, and I could definitely see people wanting to get this pop if you are a fan of Joe Coy, and that sticker on the box is definitely pretty cool looking.
Are you looking for great pop protectors? Then look no further than popbox.ca. They have a variety of 4-inch and 6-inch protectors in different quantities. Do you want to get 10 protectors, 20? You can get even up to 250 pop protectors over on popbox.ca. And also use our promo code of Funko Popcast for 10% off of your entire purchase of pop protectors. The code is going on until supplies last. So go get your pop protector needs now over on popbox.ca using our code of Funko Popcast to get 10% off.
And let me tell you guys, we're not just screwing around here. These are some great pop protectors. We own a multitude of these protectors. They are some of the best I've seen. Stop buying from EB Games. I'm not boycotting EB Games by any means, but their pop protectors are not as good. So again, use code of Funko Popcast for 10% off.
All right, so now we're going to move over to the top 10 Funko Pops of March 2022. Like I mentioned earlier in the podcast, of course, we are still in the month of March as we are recording this, so we're not quite done yet with the month, which next week we will have our segment, The Update, to update this top 10 list. And like usual, we will kick off with MD Shady and his number 10 pick.
So coming in at number 10 on my list, I have the VHS covers of The Godfather. Like I said, I think it's really cool that they're expanding to other movie covers that are obviously been released on VHS rather than just being Disney, where they could have just called it Disney covers at that point. I think that the pop was executed well for it in the black and white format. And it's just a really clean cover that ends up making this pop look really, really nice.
Coming in at number 10 on my list is the glow-in-the-dark 1 in 6 chase version of the Godspeed Kahlua Zoldyck from Hunter x Hunter, AAA anime exclusive. I think that the detail on this pop is great. However, I just don't have much of a personal reaction because of the fact I have not seen Hunter x Hunter yet. And I think there was a decent amount of hype going for this pop, which is why it made the list.
Moving on to number 9, I have the Toys R Us exclusive Slytherin outfit, Geoffrey. I think it's really cool that we're seeing Geoffrey get a treatment in a different franchise, that franchise obviously being Harry Potter. And I definitely want to see the other versions of the different houses from Harry Potter. I think they're all going to look really good. And I'm super excited that Geoffrey is just getting more variants.
Coming in at number 9 on my list, it is the 1 in 6 blue chase variant of Doctor Strange for Doctor Strange, the Multiverse of Madness. I think that pop looks really decent, especially with the designs that they had chosen, where it kind of looks like an artist series pop, but it's not an artist series pop. But at the same time, it actually looks way better than the majority of artist series pops.
Going on to number 8 on my list, I have the NFT Freddy Funko as Captain Cutler. I think that this is the best pop out of that set because I like to see variants when it comes to NFTs so that you don't necessarily have to miss out on getting a collection of characters for a certain set that you've been collecting. So stuff like the Freddy Funko is really cool, and I think that this one looks amazing.
Coming in at number 8 on my list, it is the WonderCon shared with Funko Shop exclusive Angel Kronk from Emperor's New Groove. It's always cool to see some new Kronk pops, but obviously there was a huge gripe that made it a little low on this list, and that is the fact that it was not a 2-pack involving Devil Kronk. If it was a Devil and Angel Kronk 2-pack released for WonderCon, I think it would have made it much higher, and I think a lot of the hype would have been much higher for this pop if it was a 2-pack instead of getting an Angel and Devil 2-pack of Donald Duck for WonderCon.
Moving on to number 7, I have the Funko Shop exclusive common version of the diecast Boba Fett. I think that Boba Fett makes a lot of sense to be diecast. The chase, unfortunately, is not that great, but that does not take away from the common being really, really cool looking. And I will definitely be picking this up when I get the chance.
Coming in at number 7 on my list is the WonderCon shared with Funko Shop exclusive Peacemaker from, of course, the HBO Max series Peacemaker. Such an improvement from what we had originally gotten of Peacemaker as terms to the Suicide Squad movie lineup. And they did an excellent job as terms to the detail involving the shield, the way that the helmet looks this time around instead of what it looked like in the Suicide Squad. And I think it will be one of, if not the biggest seller when it comes to WonderCon exclusives, which actually release on Friday as this podcast gets released, or the day that the podcast gets released.
Now moving on to number 6, I have Susie from Rugrats. It's really cool to see a new character that wasn't made in the original wave of Rugrat Pops, and I think it turned out very well.
Coming in at number 6 on my list is the Walmart exclusive Spider-Man pop comic covers. And it's about the middle of the list because of exactly what I mentioned. It's cool that we have a Spider-Man comic covers now, but I feel like in the near future, there will be more, and there's going to be a much better comic covers for Spider-Man than we have here right now.
Now, halfway through the list, moving on to number 5, I have the flocked Eagly, I believe is his name, from the Peacemaker show. I think that this pop looks really cool. Like I said on the pod a few weeks back, it's just a pop that looks amazing, even if you know nothing about the character. The common is not that bad looking either, but the flocked version is definitely just heaps and bounds way better. So that pop definitely had to be on the list.
Coming in at number 5 on my list, keeping up with the theme of Peacemaker, it is Vigilante. I think the detail in that pop is cool, especially with the chainsaw that is in Vigilante's hand there, which is pretty crazy. I still have yet to see the Peacemaker TV series, so I'm really curious to know why he has a chainsaw. Is that his main weapon? I don't know, but overall, even the outfit, and people were hyping over the fact of a possible Vigilante pop when the WonderCon Peacemaker pop was announced, so there definitely is a bit of hype there involved and why it made it to the top 5 portion of this list so far.
Coming in at number 4 on my list, I have the Walmart Earth Day exclusive comic book covers Poison Ivy. Like I said, this is just a flawless comic book cover. I think it looks so great. I love Poison Ivy as a character, so it's really cool to see her getting her own comic book cover before a lot of different characters, obviously, in DC and Marvel for that. It's just an amazing cover, and I can't wait to get my hands on it.
Coming in at number 4 on my list is also the Walmart Earth Day 2022 exclusive Poison Ivy pop comic covers. And I guess MD summed it up. If I have anything really to add, it's what I said earlier about how they made it more of a deluxe by adding the vine that Poison Ivy is sitting on, making it much cooler than a lot of the pop comic covers where they don't really execute what's on the cover all that much, but they did it very well in this form for Poison Ivy.
Now, moving on to number 3, I have the WonderCon exclusive Angel Kronk. I never would have really thought of this character to be popified because it's just kind of such a small yet funny moment in the movie. But obviously, there is the gripe of it not being a 2-pack with the Devil Kronk. I do think we will end up seeing that version of Kronk, but I just feel like it needed to be a 2-pack to make it the best. So that's why it could only land a number 3 position on my top 10 list.
Coming in at number 3 on my list is the Funko Shop exclusive die-cast Boba Fett, and it is also the common version because you guys would have already heard earlier of my opinion of why I don't like the Chase variant. So the common one definitely makes sense. You get more colors out of it, and I would have been disappointed if I actually ended up getting the Chase variant. There wasn't really anything posted as terms to hype because it was from the Funko or Funko.com and not posted on social media. So I don't know what other people are thinking of this, which is why it's at number 3.
Moving on to number 2 on my list, I have the Walmart exclusive comic book cover of Spider-Man. I really enjoy this. I think that it's a great cover to do because it is the debut appearance of Spider-Man. I think the Spider-Man pop itself looks really great, but I did have a couple of cons with it. Obviously, it's not very well executed because you could have had Spider-Man holding on to the person that he's saving. And it also doesn't exactly look like he is kind of swinging through the air like he is on the cover. So it could have been better.
Coming in at number 2 on my list is the Amazon exclusive Phil and Lil DeVille 2-pack from the Rugrats. And I knew I had to add a Rugrats pop on this list because that whole wave of Rugrats pops had a lot of hype from the Funko fanatics, but it was a matter of which one I was going to choose. And I felt like a lot of people were talking more about that Phil and Lil DeVille 2-pack because the majority of that wave was realistically repeats of already existing characters. And Phil and Lil DeVille was a cool addition to the lineup that had not been previously made. So it's cool that they did that. And I think it will sell pretty decently well, even being an Amazon exclusive.
Moving on to number 1 on my list for the month of March 2022. For now, before the update, the Amazon exclusive Phil and Lil DeVille 2-pack. I think that this is great. I think that it was long overdue considering we've seen a lot of amazing characters in the original wave of Rugrats that came out so many years ago now at this point. So it was long overdue for a 2-pack like this. It's great to see that they made it in a 2-pack and not 2 separate pops. And I think that they executed the pops pretty well because They are both holding, I believe it's a frog and like a mud pie. So it just encapsulates the characters very, very well, and definitely my favorite pops of the month so far.
And coming in at number 1 on my list is the GameStop exclusive glow in the dark Darth Sidious from the new Red Saber series from Star Wars. This thing is fantastic in my opinion. You got that nice Mustafar base. It glows in the dark. The lightsaber glows in the dark. Even in box looks really cool because you have the lava in the background. And I think that is absolutely awesome. And this is the only pop, I think, throughout the entire month of March that I know I am going to be getting for my collection. So that's a huge deal of why it is number 1 on my list. The detail's great. And a lot of people were actually hyped about this. There wasn't a lot of those posts from this month constantly asking, where's wave 2 of No Way Home pops? There wasn't none of that when it came to this. But anyways, guys, that is going to be the end of this week's podcast. If you enjoyed this week's edition of a Funko Popcast, make sure you smash that like button, comment in the comment section below, and let us know what your favorite pop was from the month of March 2022. Press the subscribe button for more content like this podcast and any other videos we do on this channel in the future, and press the little bell beside it to be notified of when the future content gets released. And if you guys haven't yet, follow us on all of our social media platforms on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at a Funko Podcast. It'll be listed in the description below. But anyways, guys, thank you for listening to this week's edition of a Funko Podcast, and we hope to see you guys next week on a Funko Podcast. 1, 2, 3, I'm out of here.
It's pizza time. Peace in, peace out.